Imagine being handed a stack of charts, tables, and emails, then asked to make a quick business decision. Sounds intense, right? That's exactly the kind of challenge the Data Insights section of the GMAT Focus Edition throws at you. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to conquer it. Data Insights is a new section in the GMAT Focus Edition designed to test how well you can analyze data from multiple sources under pressure. It's no longer just about crunching numbers. It's about thinking smart with data, a skill so in demand in today's business world. Whether you're just starting out or aiming for a top score, mastering this section could be your secret weapon. Stay tuned, because we're diving into game-changing tips and strategies to help you ace data insights with confidence. Welcome to the GMAT Focus Edition's Data Insights section, one of the three main sections of the new GMAT, alongside quant and verbal. Here's the breakdown. You'll face 20 questions in 45 minutes, all centering on data analysis in business contexts. These questions come in 5 flavors: data sufficiency, multi-source reasoning, table analysis, graphics interpretation, and 2-part analysis. If you've taken the older GMAT format, think of data insights as a merge of the old integrated reasoning section and quant's data sufficiency, except now it counts toward your total score. In fact, the Focus Edition scoring gives equal weight to quant, verbal, and data insights, so performing well here is just as crucial as acing math or verbal. The good news? This is the only section where you get an on-screen calculator. The challenge? The questions demand sharp reasoning. You'll juggle graphic, numeric, and verbal information and figure out how they all relate. Each question type measures a specific skill, from evaluating if you have enough data to solve a problem to interpreting complex graphs, and we'll go through each in detail. By understanding the format and embracing the purpose of data insights, you'll see that it isn't a hurdle. It's an opportunity to show off your data literacy in a world that craves it. Ready for a closer look at each question type? Let's dive in. Multi-source. Reasoning questions present you with multiple tabs of information, like a set of emails, charts, or reports, and ask you several questions based on them. It's a bit like a mini case study. You might click between 2 or 3 tabs, each containing part of the story. Don't let this overwhelm you. Start by skimming each source to understand what info is where, but don't try to memorize everything at once. Think of it as reading a short story with 2 or 3 chapters. Get the gist of each chapter first. Next, read each question carefully to know what you're looking for. The key is to find connections or inconsistencies across the sources. For example, one tab might have a company's revenue data and another its expenses. A question could ask about profit, so you'll need to combine info from both tabs. Tackle the questions one by one. By the time you reach the 3rd question in a set, you'll likely revisit each tab multiple times, and that's normal. A pro tip: treat MSR like open book reading comprehension. Refer back to the tabs as needed. All the answers are in there, just not in one place. Also watch the clock. Say you have about 3 questions per MSR set. Budget roughly 7 to 8 minutes per set, so you don't run out of time. If a particular question in the set is taking too long, bookmark it and move on. With the GMAT Focus, you can come back and even change up to 3 answers at the end of the section. Stay calm. Think of MSR as solving a puzzle with all the pieces laid out in front of you, and you'll unravel these questions step by step. Ever used Excel to sort data? Then table analysis will feel familiar. These questions give you a sortable table. Imagine a mini spreadsheet packed with data, and you'll need to determine what information meets certain conditions. The table might contain, say, a list of products with sales, dates, and regions, and the question could ask something like, how many of these products had X trait and Y performance? The first thing to do is identify the column headings and get a sense of what's being presented. Use the sorting and filtering tools provided in the question interface. They are there to help you zero in on what matters. For instance, if the question is about the highest values, try sorting the relevant column in descending order. If it's about a specific category, filter the table to isolate those entries. This can save you tons of time. Remember, not every piece of data is relevant. Part of the skill here is weeding out the noise. Typically, table analysis questions might ask you to mark statements as yes or no based on the data. Treat each statement like a mini question. Verify it against the table by sorting or scanning appropriately. One critical tip: pay attention to units and labels when analyzing the table, so you don't misinterpret the values. And of course, your trusty on-screen calculator is available if you need to do any arithmetic, but often, logical comparison is all that's needed. By systematically sorting and scanning, you'll turn a daunting table into a straightforward question. Before we continue, drop a like for this video and subscribe to our channel for more GMAT tips and strategies. This is the only way we can upload more content for free, so please do it. Part 4. Graphics Interpretation. Navigating Charts and Graphs. Graphics interpretation questions can throw a complicated chart, graph, or diagram at you, like something from a business report or a news article, and challenge you to glean insights from it. The goal is to quickly extract the story the visual data is telling and answer the question that follows. To tackle these, start by systematically reading the graph. Look at the title to understand the topic, check the axes or labels to see what's being measured, and note any legend that explains colors or symbols. Identify the units and the scale so you don't misread any values. Before even reading the question, take a moment to scan the chart for overall patterns or standout data points. For example, is there a trend that's consistently upward? A big drop at a certain point? A category that clearly dominates? Noticing these things will give you context when you dive into the actual question. When you read the question itself, you'll know exactly where to look on the chart for the answer. Treat each blank or sub-question one at a time. Find the relevant part of the graph and carefully extract the needed value or comparison. If calculations are required, say figuring out a percentage increase or the difference between two values, use the on-screen calculator to avoid mistakes, but often it's just about reading the chart correctly. One more tip: be precise and double-check that you're looking at the right portion of the graphic, especially if the figure is complex. It's easy to mix things up if you rush. With practice, you'll see that even the busiest chart has a logical story. Graphics interpretation will become much less intimidating once you realize it's not about memorizing data, but about knowing how to navigate the visual and find exactly the information you need. Part 5. Two-part analysis. Solving two-in-one problems. Two-part analysis. Questions are like tackling a two-for-one deal. You have one problem scenario, but two questions to answer about it. Each two-part problem requires finding a pair of answers, one for each part, that work together to satisfy the given conditions. Start by carefully reading the prompt and pinpoint exactly what each part of the question is asking. It might be two related calculations, two logic puzzles, or a mix. I recommend breaking it down. Think about Part A and Part B separately at first to understand each piece, but keep in mind they usually connect to each other. Once you grasp what each part needs, take a look at the answer choices. Look for clues or patterns. Sometimes narrowing down the possibilities in one column can immediately narrow down the other. For example, if you're trying to find two numbers that meet certain criteria together, eliminating a few impossible options for Part A will make the choices for Part B much clearer. You might end up doing a quick calculation or two to test which combinations work. That's fine. Just use your scratch paper or the on-screen calculator as needed. Most importantly, double-check that the pair of answers you select actually make sense together and fulfill all the conditions of the problem. Both answers have to be correct as a pair, not just individually. Time management is important here too. Solve these in a systematic way instead of guessing randomly so you don't burn too much time. If you get stuck, remember that you can skip and come back later. Two-part analysis can feel like double the challenge at first, but when you approach it step by step, it's absolutely manageable. Think of it as finding the right 1-2 punch to crack the problem, and you'll handle these questions with confidence. That wraps up our deep dive into GMAT Focus Edition's Data Insights section. If you want to learn more about the other two sections, verbal and quant, make sure to check out my videos on them. Subscribe to the channel and see you in the next video.